How to find an apartment in Paris. Depending on when you sign a lease, you may spend more or less money than you would otherwise spend. Many people move to Paris in the fall, particularly students beginning a new semester in university, and consequently there are less apartments to choose from and the prices are higher. It's important to have a sense of your wants and your deal breakers. Because the housing market is quite limited in Paris, try to keep your deal breakers list very short. Consider what you actually need in an apartment versus what you want. Unless you plan to eat out every day, a functional kitchen is important, but you don't need granite countertops. If you work from home or have small children, a quiet building may be essential. Try to keep an open mind about space. Properties in Paris are very small and very expensive. You are very unlikely to find a large and spacious apartment. The Paris rental market is known for being very competitive, so you have to know where to look for open properties and be ready to make a move as soon as one becomes available that fits your needs. There are many rental agencies you can register with, but they are notoriously expensive and unreliable. Only use one if you have the money to spare. If you are in France, you can often find good places by watching postings on local coffee shop notice boards in Anglo centers like Shakespeare and Company or the American Church in Paris, or in local magazines like Fusac. The most popular website for apartment listings is www.pap.fr, but properties listed there are often rented as soon as they go live. Other good sites to watch include www.fusac.fr, www.craigslist.fr, and www.leboncoin.fr. Word of mouth is often the best way to find a place that fits your requirements. If you are a student looking for a small studio, network with students at local universities so that you can be notified if a space becomes available. Otherwise, find Facebook groups and other online communities for expats, where people will often post about available spaces. It's important that you show up to actually view apartments, which will tell you a lot about the area and living situation, and also give you an advantage over other renters. If you see an advertisement for an apartment that seems remotely acceptable, call right away and schedule an appointment to view it. Housing discrimination in Paris is illegal, that is, refusal to rent to non-French renters, as well as discrimination on other bases like gender, religion, or race, so most landlords prefer to rent to the first person who wants an open apartment in order to avoid being accused of discrimination. That means if you show up first and make an offer, you are more likely to get to sign a lease. When you visit an apartment, even if you don't know for sure that you'll love it, come prepared with the proper paperwork, known as your dossier. You will give this paperwork to the landlord immediately after viewing the apartment if you love it, and he or she will begin the process of determining if you are an acceptable tenant. Your dossier consists of a copy of your passport and visa, if you're not from the European Union, your last 3 paycheck stubs or a contract that states your salary, and for most places, a signed letter from a French resident who will act as your guarantor, along with their payslip. If you don't know any French residents who can act as guarantor, but have already secured a job, often your employer will sign as your guarantor. If not, you can try using a rental agency called Paris Attitude, which is English-speaking and only lists apartments that do not require a French guarantor. Otherwise, though, avoid using agencies, which tend to charge exorbitant prices. Be aware that you will be very unlikely to be able to negotiate a lower rent price, since spaces are in such high demand, and you will need 2 months' rent as security upon signing a contract.